Many 19th and 20th century synagogues are associated with the Middle East and its Islamic architecture, which is characterized by horseshoe arches, cusped or scalloped arches, polychromed patterns on wall surfaces, and slender columns. Islamic influences were seen as good alternatives to classical, Romanesque, or Gothic inspirations in the 1850s and were associated with the flourishing of Jews in Islamic Spain. Christian architects such as Gottfried Semper and Ludwig von Förster felt that some kind of Oriental suggestion would convey the origin of the Jewish community. For example, the columns in front of Solomon's temple were seen as minarets in embryonic form. It provided what was considered a suitable self-image not rooted in the European church. It reminded Sfardim of their origins, and for Zionists it pointed to the future homeland. The Dresden Synagogue featured a Romanesque exterior, massive stone outer walls with small arched openings, and an octagonal tower with a blind miniature arcade below the roofline. The section drawing from a preliminary design shows us that the architect originally envisioned a freestanding tower with a pyramidal roof, rather than the more integrated domed towers. At the interior, the cusped arches within rectangular openings look back to those of the Alhambra, and the slender columns with non-classical foliate capitals relate closely to the same feature in the Alhambra. Like the mosque in India, the Plum Street Temple in Cincinnati has a taller center pavilion with slender minarets and pointed arched portal set within a rectangular frame, positioned within a much larger pointed relieving arch. In Cincinnati, pointed arches replace the half-round arches in Dresden, but both feature slender columns with foliate capitals and intricate stenciled geometric designs on wall surfaces. With its side aisles, Plum Street's floor plan is basilican and features a series of domes in each side aisle bay. With its tall, slender minaret-like turrets, the synagogue's arc echoes the center pavilion of the exterior. With its bulbous gilded onion domes, twin octagonal towers, and gridded surface, the Budapest Synagogue is clearly the antecedent of Central Synagogue. Henry Fernbach, architect of the New York Synagogue, told the publication Harper's Weekly, "The style is mainly Moorish, although the arrangement is Gothic," referring to the basilican floor plan. In contrast with Doheny Street's polychrome brick surface, Central Synagogue's exterior materials are a soft sandstone with limestone trim. Architects usually develop alternate designs for their commissions. Can you discern the distinctions between these two designs by Henry Fernbach for Central Synagogue? Which one matches the as-built design? Inside, both sanctuaries feature domed arcs in apses framed by arches, along with coffered ceilings and patterns stenciled onto walls, while Doheny exhibits half-round arches and 3 tiers of galleries. Central shows us pointed arches and the more usual 2 tiers of galleries. These elevation designs for large synagogues in Berlin and Florence are closely related. Both feature triple portal entrances, domes, and quarter towers capped with smaller octagonal towers topped by onion domes. While the Berlin Synagogue groups the arcades over the entrance beneath arches, the Florence Temple introduces a semicircular gable containing the uppermost set of windows. In addition, the materials distinguish the two buildings. Masonry and terracotta in Berlin, in contrast with characteristically Florentine in marble in contrasting light and dark courses. The floor plans reflecting the irregular site of the Berlin Synagogue show the complexity of the entry sequence. Moving underneath the dome in the narthex, the congregants turned slightly to pass through a second vestibule, then beneath the back gallery to enter the sanctuary. The interior of the Florence temple has stenciled patterns on its vault and a half dome in the style of the mosaics on Hagia Sophia's half dome. Dej has some elements we've seen already: horseshoe or keyhole arches, corner towers with onion domes, and banded masonry. Can you explain what the synagogue in North Carolina shares with the Romanian example? Though the synagogue in Ottawa doesn't share horseshoe arches, it does display towers with onion domes and a gable in between them, in this case, a stepped gable. Eldridge Street Synagogue shows a distinctive blend of Islamic and Gothic elements. Though we see horseshoe arches clearly, the elements of the main elevation are, like those in Notre Dame, divided neatly into a 3x3 grid and feature a central rose window. The materials differ. We see brick and terracotta in New York and limestone in Paris, and the relative location of the tier with the rose window differs. Finally, on the east wall of Eldridge Street Synagogue, we see keyhole arches in the windows above the ark, and the ark itself, though tripartite like that of Bevis Marks, aligns with Islamic design by virtue of its horseshoe form around the Decalogue, in contrast with the broken pediment in London.